Hello and welcome to day 4 of our tutorials, and today we are looking at Easter egg hunt, which is a bunch of cute little fat bunnies, and we also have a coordinating outline die to go with it. And today I'm going to make a slimline die card. So one of the tricks with the slimline dies is because they are so long they don't fit in my Cuttlebug machine. So when I go to cut them, I tape them down and I run the first half through the Cuttlebug machine with the end hanging off, as you can see. And then I will take it and move the paper and the die up and run the second half through. And the tape helps to keep it secured so that it doesn't shift on you as you are trying to run it through the Cuttlebug machine. So I used our new Slimline scalloped die and regular die to create the pink and the white card base, and I'm going to create some grass for the bottom of the card. Now my die is from the clouds and grass die, and it is not long enough. It is about 5.5 inches long. So what I did is I taped down the first half and cut that out, and then I line up the die best I can, or what I think looks the best, and I attach it and run it through again. And then that gave me an 8-inch long piece of grass to use on my card. The new slimline style is about 8 inches wide, which makes it a lot bigger than most dies are. So this trick can be used with pretty much any of your dies to create scenes or whatnot for your cards. So on this card, I'm making a cute little like spring scene for my little Easter bunnies. So I cut out some clouds, and they're from our Valentine slimline die, and then I'm going to add some fluffy clouds at the top of the card. And so I used my Distress Oxide ink, and instead of rubbing the ink onto the card, I'm going to go ahead and pounce it on there, but I wanted it to be a very light blue. So I first went ahead and got a lot of the ink off on my little scrap piece of paper, and then I just pounced it on, brushed it on the top of the card, and I went with the first layer being really light and the second layer just a little bit darker for the clouds to really stand out on this card, because there's going to be a lot going on the card. So after I was done with that, I'm going to go ahead and add our little clouds on there. And then I'm deciding which sentiment I wanted to use. This set comes with 2 Easter wishes and bunny kisses and furry tail wishes. So I decided to go with the Easter wishes because I wanted this to be more of an Easter card. So I took the sentiment and I'm lining it up, and I at first forgot that I was going to put the grass on there, so I had to move the sentiment a little bit to make sure that it was not going to be over where the grass die is. And I just went ahead and stamped this with Memento Tuxedo Black to give a really nice sharp sentiment. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp my little bunnies to go ahead and add them to the card. Now, one trick I have found, if you are having problems with your bunnies not giving a good impression, or I should say any stamp that is, you need to go ahead and you can actually take a clear stamp to your sink and wash it with soapy water. I like to use baby wipes, and if it's really not giving a good impression, I take a pencil eraser and I go over the lines, because in the manufacturing process the chemicals can sometimes be left behind on the die surface, and you need to go ahead and clean that off really well so that your ink pad adheres to the die. And after I stamp, I always make sure to clean off my stamps to make sure they're ready to go next time. And I don't want any of that ink to be left behind on my stamp. I decided to go very simple in coloring these little bunnies. I went ahead and just added a little yellow center to the flowers, and then I'm just adding N1 as a shadow on the bunnies, and that's about the only coloring I will do on them. I'm also going to go ahead and add little cheeks and their little ears and give them some little pink bellies with the ROOO. And then I'm using RV21 just to add little noses and to color in the banner and the eggs. And then I'm going to go ahead with a little T2 to add some shadowing to the banner and the basket. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut these guys out with their outline dies. Now, when I cut my stamps out, I like to make a template. And this is showing here how to make the template. So what I do is I take a piece of scrap cardstock and I go ahead and I cut out the outline die to begin with. Then I will cut these apart and line them up on my stamped image to make sure that they're fitting my stamped image just right and it's not off by just a little bit or right at the line, because I want them, you know, I took all that time to color them and whatnot. I want them to be cut out just right and look really good. So so what I do is I take the little cardstock template and I tape it down over the image. And then I take the outline die and I fit it down into that image. You can, when you do this, you can kind of feel like how it sits nicely down in that image. And then I go ahead and I tape that down too. Now, you want to make sure you tape it down because they will move on you and then the whole thing is pointless. And then the stamps just pop right out of the back of the paper and there you have it. And I went ahead and did the same thing with the other bunny and the rest of the flowers on there. And then I took my grass die that I had cut out and I'm just adding some little grass tufts to it to make it, give it a little more dimension. And I went ahead and also gave some green coloring to the leaves on the flowers. And then I'm going to go ahead and assemble the card and finish it up. And so I just glue my white piece with the clouds to the pink piece. And then I'm going to go ahead and just use some foam tape to give the clouds a little bit of dimension. And as you can see here, I'm just adding a little bit of foam to them and then I will attach them to the card. Making slimline cards are very fun because they let you create scenes. With a basic like A2 card, it's kind of hard to create a scene on it because it's not very long. But with these slimlines being anywhere from 8 1/4 to 3 1/4, it gives you a lot more space to create the scenes with the little stamp characters and whatnot. I glued the grass down to the card because I didn't want to give it any dimension. And then I'm going to go ahead and my littlest bunny is going to be in the back of the card, not popped up. And the two big bunnies in the front, I'm going to go ahead and add some foam tape to them to give them some extra dimension. And on the clouds, I only added 1 layer of foam dots. So for the bunny, I'm having to add 2 layers so they do sit above the clouds instead of being right on top of the cloud. So after I get him attached, I'm going to go ahead and add the 4 little flowers that we cut out earlier. And then once I get them attached, I'm going to go ahead and add some gold stickles to the center of the flowers just to give them a little pop. And then I'm coming in with my white pen to give highlights to the grass, the little grass clippings, and then also to the little bunnies. You can't quite see it as I'm making the card, but when it's finished, you can see how it stands out a little bit better. And then I attached the whole card to a green base, which measures 9 by 4, so it's a nice big card. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you tomorrow for day number 5. Bye!